That was the first legit trap game in my eyes that the Warriors have had in a long time. I saw someone point out, "Oh, when Dallas, like, 2 weeks ago or whatever." No, like, and at this point, I think we all understand the Warriors gotta try to win every game, but a trap game to me represents when a team is rolling and they have momentum, and then they overlook a team, and the Warriors haven't had momentum in a win streak in so long. Point is, you can't have a trap game when you're losing every other game. And so Charlotte shows up at the end of their long West Coast road trip. No LaMelo Ball. He's had a ton of ankle problems, kind of similar to Steph early in his career, unfortunately. And this Hornets team, you know, not a lot of talent on that roster, right? And so you're like, all right, well, we take care of business. Don't make this a wire job. And they hung around for about half of a quarter. And there's not a whole lot of basketball schematics to talk about that matchup. The Warriors took care of business and they were rolling and everyone's feeling good. But I think my main subject that I want to focus on is Draymond. And I've been making note of this, right? And I think that everyone was curious about this Jimmy fit and what that would look like. And to me, it seems as though he is embracing a new role and the opportunity to not have to be the emotional leader every minute on the floor and with this team and in the locker room with Jimmy, right? And look, man, if you've been following the channel for a while, I try to trade Draymond every month, and his personality does irk me in a lot of ways. But take notes, kids, because one of the many differences between men and women are as a man, look, I don't gotta like bro to root for him. I don't. Like, I'm still rooting. It's like your uncle or your in-law or somebody, or you may not necessarily vibe with them, but they're still family. You're still gonna root for them. And that's kind of how I feel about Draymond. And I've just been super impressed with how quickly he's adapting and how aggressive he's being offensively. And I said it last video, right? He might be the most charged up of anyone, right? We know what he can bring to the table defensively, and he's steadily flashed that, but now he's doing it consistently minute to minute. And for him to get up and be that up for that Hornets opponent, that Hornets roster last night, I think just gives you an idea, big picture of where he's at. And if he can have, like, listen, we already know Draymond's a first ballot Hall of Famer, right? But if he can alter his game in the final years of his career, the final phase of his career, to more of this offensive guy, not like the defense, he's always going to hang his hat on, right? But where he starts to give you double-digit points and just adapt offensively, I mean, that it might just, I mean, if you win, it raises everyone's legacy again, right? The guarantee, but it might just bump his legacy up even further. So I've been super impressed with Draymond and the relationship with him and Jimmy. I was cautious that, you know, Jimmy being such a natural alpha and being such a natural leader, would Draymond low key feel a type of way? And that hasn't been the case at all. But again, they ain't been losing either, right? I think I got to go see this Grand National Tour. I got to do it. Kendrick, SZA, it just feels like a moment right now that you want to remember and be a part of. And you talk about doing nice things for loved ones, creating experiences and memories. And that's why I got to shout out today's sponsor, SeatGeek. Over 28 million downloads. They've got over 70,000 events listed right now. You can get NBA tickets, Major League Baseball, hockey, and so much more, right? And you're going to get the buyer back guarantee. You're going to get tickets rated from 1 to 10. The simplicity and quality of the app, it just makes it seamless. Now, my daughter and I went to Suns Warriors a couple months ago out here. One of our last chances maybe to see peak Steph. Now, the game didn't work out or go the way we wanted it to. But again, the seamless process of using SeatGeek to get there, show our tickets, and go to the event. Once you decide to use the app, it's easy to just lock in and do it for any type of event that you want to go to. And I came through for you guys. So you can use the code Alchemy10 to get 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the promo code Alchemy10. Make sure to click the link in the description, download the app, and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. And then you look at things from Jimmy's side, who Jimmy, like, I was making fun of him in today's breakdown. Like, he never pushes the ball. Like, if he gets a loose ball or a long rebound, like, he is slowing it down and walking it up the court, like, slower than Chris Paul. Like, he's not as fast as I thought he would be with the ball. It's just not his game. And part of it is he doesn't have his legs. He had that breakaway last night where I think he wanted to dunk it, and then he got up there and realized he couldn't. Steph was laughing at him. So he's still got to get his legs. But overall, you know, what he's saying, he's playing the game too, as far as the optics. You heard him say, "This is the best organization I've ever been a part of." And some of you may read that as a shot at the Heat. Probably it is, right? It can go both ways. But he's played for the Sixers, the Wolves, the Bulls, right? He's been around the league. But I also think there's a part of it is we gave him his money. He's his final big contract. He knows this is home till the end of his career for the most part. That's his plans. And he's trying to restore the glow of this organization. Because let's be honest, over, the last handful of years, we're no longer seem to be a destination narrative wise. We've had trouble attracting free agents and players agreeing to get traded there, right? I think Jimmy understands the narratives and the optics, and part of him saying, "Hey, this is the best organization," he's trying to build back that glow of attracting guys here for his final run, his last real shot at a chip. And so, yeah, man, I don't know how you can't be impressed with the overall impact of Jimmy on and off the court and how the vibes are going. I guess what I'll point out basketball wise is, as well as a new trend of obviously the free throws, right? Like that's the headline. Hey, they're shooting way more free throws. And like by osmosis, you're almost just seeing these other guys like watch Jimmy do it. They're like, I could do that too, right? For sure. But all of a sudden, we've become a turnover machine in a good way. Now, maybe some of it's opponent, right? It's a small sample size. I think it started in Sacramento, Houston, Charlotte last night, where we're doubling over the turnovers for these teams. Charlotte had like 25 turnovers to our 12, our 10. All of a sudden, our turnover number is hovering around 10 or 12 where you want it to be, but then we're turning teams over a ton. And I think it speaks to how connected all five defenders are on the floor, because a lot of these turnovers, like Guy Santos, man, shout out to Guy, who's just, I just don't know how he's going to stay in the rotation with Kuminga, who we'll get to here in a second. But Guy is a really, really good basketball player, man. High motor rebounder, 50-50 loose ball guy, one of the best passers on the team. The three ball has kind of abandoned him, but I digress. Talking about the turnovers, and he's been a big part of it. But a lot of these turnovers are, right, someone gets a deflection, and all of a sudden it becomes a 50-50 ball. And we're really winning all the 50-50 balls now, whether it's Pods, Moody, Jimmy. Everyone is so engaged and alert defensively. Whenever there's a bad pass caused by a good contest or a closeout or just disrupting a ball handler up the court, we're getting to those. And all of a sudden, we're just racking up these turnovers and getting easy offense in transition. The other guy that I wanted to shout out was GP2. What do you have, 14 last night? But he's been playing better and better, like everyone else with this Jimmy trade, right? But it's funny what a little motivation can do for you, because GP2, what was funny? What's funny was when they asked him at the half, do you get mad about anything? And he goes, maybe too late of a start in the morning, maybe a late morning. But you know why you have late mornings, right? It's because you've had late nights. But I'm going to leave GP2 alone on that because I wanted to compliment him. One, I think he's clearly done the math and looked at the roster now, and he's like, dude, if I don't start making these corner threes and being more focused offensively, I'm not going to see the floor now that Jimmy's here, because there's even less spacing from the perimeter, not to mention GP2's in a contract year. So I think he's perked up even more, and he looks really good. But what I wanted to speak on was, you hear the term healthy ego, right? We all need a healthy ego to be confident people, but especially ball players, right? And it can be a fine line between confidence and cockiness and ego. How do you fill your ego? In a lot of this generation, these younger players, they only fill their ego offensively, right? With shot making. And it's a lost art to fill your ego defensively, like a Draymond, like a GP2. But GP2, he fills his ego with the little plays, right? Like there was a play late in the game where he came in and got a body on a rebound, and it tipped over to Guy, and Guy got an and one. And you could see GP2 celebrate like he just hit a step back three, right? Like he fills his ego doing the little things. And I would love to see more players do that. I know that that's not the era we're in, right? But I think that can make you have a lot of success in a lot of different environments. Fill your ego with the little things. Kuminga. I don't know, man. I know we've all been asking and wondering and why and why. And, I've been kind of loud about it shouldn't take a 22-year-old this long to come back from an ankle sprain. And they say at some point on this road trip, he should be back. I don't know. I've heard rumors of Orlando, maybe the primetime game against Philadelphia. That might be too big a spotlight to put him in on. But I have two thoughts on why it's taken so long. One, were they not completely transparent with the injury? Was there a fracture in the ankle as well as a sprain? And if you remember at the time, he had been playing so well, and the team, the narrative, the optics of the team and how bad we were struggling, to let out the news that he had a fractured ankle rather than a sprained ankle does look worse. So perhaps it was just worse than we knew and he had to recover. They've also reported that, there's been some swelling and stuff. There is also a possibility that, guys' ankles respond differently, and he could just be a guy, his ankles didn't respond well. I could see that when I look at his movement patterns and the way he moves, as athletic as he is, he's not that dexterous. Is that a word? Y'all kill me with words. Dexterity, right? So is it dexterous? Flexible, right? He doesn't have a whole lot of lean, right? He's not like, a lot of ankle bend. And when you look at the way like Kyrie would be like the example of just like a ninja. His hip length, how low he can get in his hips, how his ankle mobility is, allows him to move super crazy. Kuminga doesn't have a ton of mobility in his hips and ankles and knees from what I've seen. So it wouldn't shock me if it just has taken him longer. But why focus on the past? Let's focus on the future and him being reintegrated into this. And I think the blueprint and the map that everybody has imagined is you're seeing this second unit with Jimmy, Draymond, and Pods post in there for spacing, and they're vibing. They're like winning these games, right? In the last week or so. And then you have Steph minutes where it's none of those guys, and it's just, is it Moody out there? The Steph minutes, it's Moody and Buddy, right? And shooting and stuff like that. But I think that they're going to run Kuminga in those minutes, right? With Steph, and have a Steph Kuminga 1-2 punch, and then keep that Draymond Jimmy Pods unit, as just two separate things. So I think we're all excited to see what he looks like. And it took this amount of time. Hopefully there shouldn't be any rust. He should come back. Now, obviously he's got to get his wind and timing, but to take this amount of time, you imagine he's going to be completely 100%, right? We also have signed Taran Armstrong, 6'5" Australian point guard. And I haven't looked at tape on him yet. At some point, I'll probably do some sort of scouting or breakdown on my Patreon about it once I get some tape, or maybe we even see him play. It's a 2-way contract. But from what I have read, he's kind of like a mini Josh Giddey. I don't, your environment, nature versus nurture. And you look at Ben Simmons, you look at Josh Giddey, and you look at, not to say he's at all going to be in that tier of player, but it's interesting that these Australian-born big guards all kind of have an archetype of, they don't really shoot it, but they're super crafty. They like to push the ball, some flair to their game. So I'm curious to see what he looks like. And then, look, Kevin Knox, man, you saw it in that fourth quarter. It's a great story from a kid who was a lottery pick and then fell out of the league, and now he's working his way back in. And it's a huge opportunity, not just for him, but for the Warriors to nab him on a very salary-friendly deal moving forward. And you look at this young core, it's funny how quick things change, right? Like 2 months ago, most of Dub Nation was like, man, our young core we don't have it. You know what I'm saying? Pods is struggling, Moody, it's like all these things, right? Now you look, and it's not just Pods figuring it out. Moody, all of a sudden, being the player we hope that he could be. Oh yeah, Quentin Post is a legit rotational stretch 5, right? Guy Santos fits the system. He knows how to play with everybody, right? And now you maybe add Kevin Knox, a 25-year-old lottery talent on the low. So there is a lot to be positive about moving forward. And, this whole road trip kind of feels like a trap game, right? Because it's like, oh, look at these guys, right? But you go out east into that cold weather, you travel, road whistles, I think we got to take it one game at a time. But will we sit half a game out of the 6th spot? It's been like 10 days, 2 weeks from this trade. So things move fast. As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.